Okay, Jay, so what brings you to the Carnivore Conference?
I wanted to come speak with like-minded people, and I wanted to not feel like a freak for a weekend and not have to hide the way I prefer to eat and live. And I just wanted to feel very, very at home and comfortable for 3 days. Yeah.
And what have you found here? What will you go away with, do you think?
There's still so much that I didn't know, and I have a lot to learn. And it's sort of, when you sort of live in a world, or at least like where I'm like the expert within like my family and my friends, and you come here and you see, there's like just having a side conversation. I was like, well, I didn't know that, I didn't know that, or I never really understood the light cycle, but I said, I'm going to be going to this conference in a couple of months and I'll get some details, and like, lo and behold, I did. And now I realize I've got a lot more to learn and apply, and sort of reinforces as well why I try to do what I do most of the time. It's sort of like, okay, I really need to stick with it, and I don't know, for some reason, just seeing everyone in the sunshine just made me really happy, because that was just really, I could just tell everyone was like, okay, we're gonna, even without using the term recharge, you could sort of see everyone sort of like a bunch of iguanas, but just sort of sunning themselves like, oh, this is really nice. This is, yeah, so, yeah.
That's a lovely image. So
Yeah.
you said that you felt like a freak at times, so
Oh,
talk
yeah,
more about
I am.
that. Like, what do you come up against, and what challenges have you had within your family or your friends?
Oh, well, I wouldn't say challenges, because people notice changes. So I was myself in my late 20s. I was about 90 pounds heavier, and I sort of waffled up and down. So back then, I thought I knew a lot. I'd be just lecturing people, and now I know why they didn't give me any credibility, because I wasn't walking any of the talk. And then as I started to apply more and learn, and then 8 years ago, I met my wife, and 10 years ago, and we got engaged 8 years ago. There was like an emotional valve that was released, which kind of allowed me to be a healthier person inside, and like the better habits started to follow. And then people started to see like a big change. So I wasn't like a really flabby, obese Jay anymore. I got in better shape and more toned and more muscular. And then people ask, oh, what are you doing? And I'm always very clear. I said, I'm not telling you to do this, but, and they say, oh, just go ahead and tell me. And I say, well, like I haven't eaten in a couple of days. Like, whoa, is that good for you? And I'm like, well, I don't know, but I feel pretty good. And well, how do you do that? Well, the couple of days before I was living off, like some ground beef and some eggs, and is that good for you? I'm like, I don't know, it's been working really well for me. And so I find that really interesting, is that people come up, notice a change, ask you to share what you've done. And I'm very careful to not prescribe. I'm just giving them my experience, and just instant, well, that can't work, or I don't know, I'm not sure. Well, how do you know? And I said, well, how do I know anything? I do know this. It's way better being 45 and being 155 pounds and being vibrant and strong. And I can do pull-ups and chin-ups. And I was the kid in school where I literally thought, when I couldn't pull myself up, that I didn't have like the ligament or the tendon. I didn't know it was just lack of strength, and I was just too chubby as a kid. And so it's way nicer to at least be on some sort of health pathway. And I'm not looking for perfection either. And that's why I think people are like, well, how do you know it's the perfect diet? I'm like, I have no freaking idea. I just know what I'm doing here is making me feel better and more wholesome, and I'm more calm, and I don't know. It's just I'm always very flattered by people making nice comments and noticing a change, because it is hard work sometimes, like skipping social events and not doing certain things. But then I've found I've become, in a sense, more secretive about what I'm doing, because I used to just be low carb and then keto, and now I'm pretty much carnivore, and I'm raw carnivore a lot of the time. And so I'm like, oh, my answers are getting more weird, you know, and I'm not eating for a couple of days. I started dry fasting, and like each weird tool I bring in, things improve. So it's not like, oh, I fasted and everything got worse. Like, oh no, I feel even better now. And now it makes sense to me. And then I come here and I learn like, oh yeah, that's why that probably worked. And maybe I can tweak this and make it better. So it's, I don't know, I think it's very life affirming. Like at an age where many of my friends are kind of teetering off, I'm teetering less off, I guess. So.
Did you have to face any like ideological barriers within yourself, or culturally, or you know, with the people that you knew that were close to you around this diet?
Within myself, personally, no, actually, never. With my family is like when I say my family, I mean my parents mostly. They're supportive because of the results. Like they don't like and that's what they're proud of. There is a cultural battle for me sometimes just because of my religious heritage. For someone who is a Hindu Brahmin, to live mostly off of ground beef and raw beef liver is definitely an extreme. I think I told a couple people this weekend that there are demonic beings in Hinduism called Rakushas, which are literally the beings that eat flesh, and so like when I will have some raw meat, not in front of my mom, but I'll just tell her that I did like a week before, and she'll say, Rakush, and she'll like make me like wash my hands, wash my mouth out, and that's just who she is. I love her and she loves me, but I instantly know this is my mother who loves me. If I told one of my colleagues who's like a fellow Hindu, like they probably wouldn't speak with me ever again. I mean, they would speak with me, but they would just be constantly like, whoa, he's, it's like, they think that if I eat meat, I have like a piece of chicken twice a week. In fact, like when I talk about, with people of my heritage, I'll say, well, you don't eat that much meat, right? Like it's like, okay. And I'll be like, no, I eat quite a bit of meat, and like, oh, like 3 times a week, and you just eat a little bit of chicken, right? And I'm thinking like, oh, okay, forget it. Like, I'm seeing a whole like beef heart, chopped up in little pieces would traumatize them. But so I just sort of, I keep it to myself for like, one group of, like one part of my world, and then this is like a new family, I guess. So, or I don't guess, it definitely is, and so it's nice. It's nice. But I'm also doing the right thing because I got to come here and see people like changed, like their health is getting better. And if it's not getting better as fast as they want to, there's at least hope in their eyes, which is I don't see many times back home. I'll see I'm sick, and it's just, there's no concept of really healing. It's just modulating the downward slope. And here I get the sense that like, there's things actually possible with like an integration of all the tools that we're all developing and learning. So
you mentioned the weight loss, which is obviously huge for you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other benefits that you've been discovering along the way?
I can't say that I like really, other than just being really heavy, that I had any big health things. I started like my late 20s, and I think the one thing I did right was like from the get-go, I sort of cut out the seed oils. And that was like years before anyone, there was only a couple people talking about, trans fats and seed oil, and I just kind of instinctively just never liked the idea of them. So even though I would sometimes not eat the best, I would just like make sure I excluded those. My overall confidence and like I was mentioning the pull-ups, like being able to do things physically, and like I just started running, and like when I met Jennifer, my wife, like she is a runner, and I used to put it down, and now I realize I used to put a lot of things down because I just didn't have the physicality to do them, and I'm really ashamed by that I routinely make fun of things, but it's jealousy, and I and now like it's not like I'm the biggest runner in the world, but like I'll go like once or twice a week to like a running class, and I can do it. And that's like a wonderful feeling to be able to do new things, and it's made my world like a lot more hopeful. So.
How did you Well,
I just, went from low carb to keto, and then I remember maybe like 10 years ago, it was like a zero carb forum somewhere, and it was like, I don't know, it was full of really, really nice people, but I found it a little bit too weird. It was too much, and there was too much, there were too many trigger foods for me. Like, there was too much well, if I'm not full, I'll just have a pint of whipping cream and just end. I was like, oh, I think Dr. Mabry made a comment of, once you're a fat guy, that personality is a part of you. So you'll make jokes that way, and I'm still the same way, and so it feeds into those food addictions where I'm not full after this 1 pound steak. Well, I guess I would have to get a pint of cream, and I can't leave any in the carton, of course. So I just pound the whole thing, and that never kind of really worked. And then just I always knew that would be a good way, but until I started hearing the word carnivore and sort of the nose to tail concept, I was like, oh yeah, I should be able to get all my nutrients from a ruminant or some oysters, and that kind of made more sense to me. That I wouldn't need to. I'm not putting anyone down who adds a bunch of fats or food. I do too sometimes, but it kind of made sense to me that I shouldn't need to get something out of a jar to add to my food to make it complete. And so I could find another part of this animal that gave its life that should be able to provide some sustenance to me. So yeah.
So it feels more natural.
Yeah, it is more natural. Yeah, and it definitely, I feel much more grounded. Now I know, I believe, someone in good health should be able to go a couple days without food. It may not be very fun or pleasurable, but it can be, and I think I'm very I didn't realize before. I thought, oh, it's just a matter of self-control and discipline. But now I see it as it's sort of like a testament of health. It's rather than eating crap, I should be able just to kind of ride it out until my next highly nutritious meal, and then find the rest of the time to exercise or work or get some sunshine if I can. And so it's sort of a whole circle. So
part of a whole lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So my last question, you touched on it at the beginning, how because you say that you have to deal with skeptics, but
Mm-hmm.
So what do you say to people who say this just sounds absolute rubbish to me, because what I'm hearing is the polar opposite of what you've just told me?
Sure. So when I'm drinking and I'm a little bit more obnoxious, I'll just sort of do the stuff that they used to do to me when we were when we swapped body sizes. Where I'll do sort of the belly tap, and this is of course my guy friends. I'll do well, it's not working, or something something very crass and mean, which is very effective for dudes. I'll also just refer them to a Joe Rogan, Shawn Baker podcast, or I've actually referred them to Born to Eat Meat, and I also just said I've also have the humility to say, this is working for me so far, and I feel really good every day. And when I mess up, I don't feel as good, and that makes some sense to me. And this is, and I said, and we're still always going to be friends no matter how we eat. So you can just comment on what you think I look like a year from now. So I said, I'm going to keep doing this, and we'll see look like a year from now. And sometimes I'll take a selfie of a friend of mine. I take selfies all the time, and one of the reasons why is because I want to make sure that I'm walking the talk. And so I'll be okay, I want to see how I look compared to my friend who's also the same age, and so I'll monitor myself just through pictures, I guess, as my wife is over there laughing about.
So the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah. So yeah, that's about it.
Cool. Thanks, Dave.
Sure, thank you.